Hope everyone's having a good morning so far. And also, if anyone's having any issues um, with sound or video or anything, or anyone can't see my screen, let me know. Um, yeah, just while we're waiting. But actually, there we go. We're at 1 minute past now anyway, so let's get into it. Um, so I guess first things first, a little bit of an introduction. Hi, everyone. For those of you I haven't met before, my name's Rich. I'm one of the co-founders of Socket, and I'm joined by my colleague and our customer success manager, Simon, um, who many of you would have bumped into before, either on demos or onboarding sessions or customer support queries coming in. So Simon is running point on any questions that come in today and will sort of help me sort of keep me on track, I guess, is one of the important bits because we actually have quite a lot to cover today. So we'll need to whiz through it and yeah, try and stay on track from a timing perspective. So just a little bit of admin, I guess. We are recording this. So if you do need to jump off, then you will be sent the link to the recording afterwards. And Q&A, feel free to ask questions, as and when you think of them. But we will also be allowing some time for Q&A at the end. And we can kind of run through a bit of a discussion at that point and get into a bit more detail if there's any kind of bigger questions that we want to address. And then aside from that, so in terms of what we're running through, there's a whole lot of stuff that we've done over the last few months, right across the board. So I'm going to be showing you a bit more around price monitoring, some leads updates, some billing tweaks. We've revamped the work management side of things and a whole lot of stuff around proposals and engagement letters, of course. And then we're launching a new module called TaxScout, which is really exciting. So we'll leave plenty of time for that as well. So should we get into it then? Just quickly, I guess, if you are completely new to Socket or haven't taken a trial out or anything yet, then this particular session is a bit of a deep dive into various new features of the product. And the product's grown quite a lot over the last few years, so it's quite a in-depth product. So I highly recommend either sort of going on and just taking out a trial and jumping in and having a play. But if you did want to learn more about Socket itself, then you can book a demo in with the likes of Simon from our website. And also there's lots of videos floating around and lots of help articles too. So yeah, this one is more of a kind of sporadic, sort of all over the place, showing off new features. So yeah, may not be the best intro in that sense, but there's some exciting stuff to run through. So do stick around if you want to learn more about TaxScout, for example. Few updates on the integration side of things. So FYI integration is now fully generally available. So you can go in and see it in the FYI marketplace and hook up Socket, which is really cool. And we've added some extra bits as well. So you can send independent engagement letters as PDFs through to FYI automatically if you use that kind of workflow. And you can also edit FYI contacts and Socket too. On the Carbon front, there's also the option now to, you can go into each client and if you need to sync something super quickly that may not have synced yet, then you can go in there and manually kick off a sync for that client and get that updated. On the QBO front, we now support non-VAT registered practices. So feel free to jump in and hook that up if you've been waiting for that one as well. There's a lot of smaller things that I won't be covering off today that have happened over the last quarter. So feel free to head to our changelog, which is on our website. And it's got all of the nitty-gritty details and all of the little tweaks that we've done along the way in there for you to check out. So without any further ado, I'm going to jump in and show you some bits and pieces. So if I just jump out of here and head over to this thing. Oh, we've got a little preview of something coming next. But I'm going to come back to that one and head across to the monitor space. So if you haven't checked out Price Monitor yet, I highly recommend diving in and having a play. It's now available for everyone to give it a try. And why have we started building this out? Well, the gap that we're trying to fill is around tracking the differences between when a proposal was originally issued to a client and where we're at now. And there's kind of two ways in which we are seeking to tackle that. One is around your pricing. So if the pricing, if your proposal was issued 6 months ago and you've updated your pricing since, then this is a really good way to see what the impact of that kind of price changes might be across your existing proposals. And then the other thing is actually the your clients' businesses evolving over time, and how do we actually try and respond to those kind of changes as well. So I'll show you how we kind of think about that in here. Just while I'm here as well, it's worth kind of like hovering over each of these fields because they'll give you a little explanation as to what we mean. So when I said pricing impact, then this is sort of gives you a little kind of difference. So we're looking at when the proposal was issued versus now, or when that sort of future pricing is kicking in. And then data impact is you can upload data into here that is coming from other external sources. So that might be Xero subscription data or payroll data or various kind of driver-based data. So things that are sort of impacting the way that you do your pricing. And we'll show you the impact of both of those things in here. So first of all, if I jump into analyze pricing, if you did check this out a while ago, it's probably changed around a little bit since then. But what I can do first up is I've got a new pricing menu in here. And so basically we've applied a kind of 3% inflationary uplift in our sort of future pricing menu. So I can choose to compare pricing to today or to a future pricing menu that we have in place. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to hit run analysis. And so there won't be any data impacts, but we will see a pricing impact. And so where it's saying undercharged here, that's because essentially the pricing for the services that this client has now moved on. So we can see that overall, it's not a big number in this case, but obviously if you've got hundreds of clients, then that number can be quite a big number. So if I click into this will give you a little breakdown of that, like how we've kind of calculated that difference. And if I scroll down to here, you can see in the proposal itself what the kind of pricing impact is using that new pricing menu. So what this is the kind of sort of uplift you could expect to make if you moved that proposal and that client across to the new pricing, essentially, when that happens. So from here, we can also then layer on other things. So if I jump into here again, and we've got two other things that we can choose to bring in. So one is the Xero subscription charges, for example. And so if I jump into here, and it might be that Xero has since raised their prices since the proposals were issued. And so if I click run analysis here this time, then we should see an additional kind of data impact coming in. And in this case, overall, some things might have got cheaper. But you can see like this, this client's coming in okay, and then we're undercharging on some of these clients here. And then actually there's one client that we're actually overcharging on. So there's you're starting to kind of layer in different sort of data sources, essentially. Finally, if I bring in driver metrics, so by the way, you can come in here, and if you're not sure what each of these things are doing, then you can click on the help here and then click view more info if you need to as well. That will sort of give you a bit of a deep dive into what each of these things are doing behind the scenes. For the driver metrics one, it's also got a sample spreadsheet that you can download, and that way you can kind of feed data into it and then start to essentially track a lot of other metrics as well. So if I just hit run on this, then essentially it's going to layer in another set again. And so you can see that kind of picture start to emerge in terms of what the overall impact would be if you were to sort of reprice this client across drivers and Xero subscription charges and pricing as well. So yeah, that's a really quick sort of intro on that. I think the next kind of natural step is, okay, I can see what the impact is. How can I actually take action on that? So here you've got an adjust prices button, same up here as well. And so if I click this, then from here, okay, that wasn't the best example. If I click here, for example, then it's going to ask you whether you want to do a minor adjustment or a full renewal from here. And so you can use that latest kind of pricing menu to start repricing that client and moving them up to date, essentially. And it will keep track of kind of these changes that it's looking to bring in. Everything makes sense there, Simon?
We just had a relevant question through there, Rich. Just from anonymous attendee, can we pull driver metrics through from Dext?
That's a great question, actually. Basically, that's in the works. So in terms of price monitor, the next things that are coming soon are essentially we're looking to pull information in from Dext and also from Xenon Connect. So those areas that we're actively working on right now, and I think that's going to make it really cool to essentially automate this part of the process as well. So yeah, that is on the roadmap and coming soon for sure.
Perfect timing for that one then.
Yeah, good timing. Okay, so yeah, that's a little price monitor kind of update. On the list, sorry, on the lead side of things, we've made a few updates along the way here as well. So in this area, if you're using leads, it's now a little bit more configurable around deal sizes. So this was quite a popular request actually from people in the lead space. Essentially, people have got sort of different ways that they want to think about their pipeline and how they calculate the kind of value that of all of the kind of leads that are or deals that are kind of sitting in their pipeline. So you can now kind of play around with this a little bit, and you might look at or think about deals from an annual perspective, in which case, this might be like 6 grand a year. For example, this might be 12 grand and this might be 20 grand. So just by doing that, I can kind of switch the way that we kind of do that kind of pipeline calculation. And you know what, it doesn't make sense for us to include alignment fees because that's not like an ongoing thing. So if I click Save Changes on that, then we automatically have this kind of updated kind of deal pipeline calculation going on here, which is kind of cool. Settings are also available there now, which is quite nice. And then the other kind of big update in the lead space is that we now have a list view. So as well as this kind of Kanban view, you can drag and drop. If you're dealing with a high volume of lists or you want to do a bit more kind of analysis around them, then you can jump over to list view as well. And so you can quite quickly sort by things like deal value, for example, and then say, well, actually, I'm just interested in high deals that are only, you know, considered to be hot deals, for example. And so it will remember your settings in here as well, and your kind of preferences in terms of your filters. And you might say, okay, well, I only really want to look at the deals that are associated with me, or someone who's actually got some. So Helen, for example, and then that way you can kind of keep track of the things that are sort of specific to you. So hopefully that's makes this kind of leads area a little bit more powerful and a little bit more kind of user friendly as well. Cool. So onto the billing side of things, another really sort of popular ask for us was previously we used to essentially always post invoices through to your billing system such as Xero or QuickBooks on the first day of the month. And that is now configurable. So for firms that actually want to be able to say raise all their invoices or send them through to their accounting system on the 15th or the last day of the month, for example, then that's absolutely possible now. So if you haven't seen that one come in, then jump in and feel free to make those changes. If you do choose something like the 30th or the 31st, then it's intelligent enough to know that not all months run up to that point, so it will make sure that it's posted on the last day of the month. Hopefully that makes sense. Cool. So another area that we've actually spent a bit of time on earlier in the year is around work management. So in here, it's got a lot more powerful, I guess, is the way I would put it. There's a lot more information that we're bringing through to this initial work or jobs kind of list view. And so a big part of that really is around when the expected billing date is. And so you can actually specify an expected billing date for each job now. And what that allows firms to do is essentially do a bit of forecasting or start to get a feel for how much work are we expecting to actually complete on this on a given particular month, and what is it worth to us. So that's kind of the reasoning behind that. And then actual billing. So if you complete jobs now, you can actually start to do some reporting around when jobs were completed versus when they were expected, and also track the kind of price that they were actually billed at as well. So you start to get a really nice picture in terms of what we were kind of thinking was going to happen versus the actual reality of what happened there, and start to kind of spot kind of differences, I guess. We're also bringing things like owner and manager, client owner and manager in as well. So you can start to then kind of filter on those particular things, and say, okay, well, I just want to report over sort of my area of work, for example. And yeah, so lots of quite powerful things in here, and you can start to kind of say, okay, well, I just want to look at the last quarter and see, or like the next quarter coming up and see what kind of jobs we're expecting to actually complete and bill for. I think the last thing here really is if you do need to feed that into some other kind of system or do some more data analysis around it, you can now also export that kind of list that you've generated as well into CSV or Excel. Okay, cool. So I've just seen quite a good question come in around leads forms that we'll address a little bit later, actually. So that's cool.
Yeah, well, I was going to say I saw a few coming in there, but I thought we can jump back to them at the end.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, definitely. Um, okay. So the next space I wanted to jump into was around proposals and engagement letters. Firstly, in terms of the kind of configuration, so another really popular request that we had was the ability to customize the emails that went out to clients. By the way, you'll notice that this kind of settings area has had a little bit of a revamp as well. And you can now search for things like email, and it will kind of allow you to figure out what you're wanting to, yeah, what you're kind of looking for and jump to it really quickly. So here now under the communications sort of settings area, you can now customize your proposal emails. And so you can customize the emails that you send to the client initially, what happens after they've signed, and also if you are making a minor adjustment to their proposal, also what you're going to say in there. So that these used to be essentially, we were quite kind of protective over it, but we've now done a lot of kind of work around making sure that these emails are nicely deliverable using your domain. And so the only restrictions we really have around it now is that you've got to include an approval link tag, obviously, because that's the kind of key thing that sort of drives people to that particular proposal. So apart from that, you can use dynamic tags, and we've got all the kind of tags that you'd expect available in there as well, which is really cool. And you can also do the same for if you are using independent engagement letters. So you issue them separately to proposals. You can also customize the emails that are used in that as well. Okay, so on the proposals front, a big thing that we've been working on for a while, I'm really pleased that we've managed to get this one out the door, essentially is support for multi-signatory proposals. So the kind of the key aspect here really is around the ability to have a primary signatory, and then you can add secondary signatories. So I've got a draft proposal that I started here, and we've got our primary contact like we normally do, but then there's this add secondary signatory button. By the way, if you haven't seen this before, we only kind of made this fully available very recently. So jump in and feel free to give it a try. Essentially, you can add secondary signatories just like you can sort of add normal contacts, bring them into here, and you can add, I think it's up to 5 actually in here. This little button essentially goes, okay, I want to actually swap these around and make Tom the primary one. You can edit them and remove them as you'd expect. But if I jump ahead to the customize step, so you can see now that our email recipients are going to be the primary one and then the secondary one. So Jim and then Tom. And then if I jump across to here as well, you can see in the approval flow, what's going to happen is that the primary approver will be prompted to review and sign the proposal. And then once that primary approver has done so, then all the secondary signatories will automatically receive an email and can sign as and when they get around to it. So essentially, it will stay as pending until all signatories have signed, and it is it's compatible with the sort of ability to decline proposals and all that kind of thing as well. Um, and so I'm not going to hit send for proposal specifically, but if I go share via a link as well, you can see here that there is kind of like different links for the primary contact and then the secondaries as well. So they each have kind of individual links to go and sign that proposal. Um, so yeah, have I kind of covered off the main points there? Simon, do you think?
Yeah, I was just going to say I actually just finished at the end of yesterday a help video covering exactly that, and I went in and did screen shares of what it looks like for each client and each secondary. So I'll be uploading that this morning if anybody wants to watch that in a bit more detail.
Perfect. Perfect. Good timing. It's
Took
almost
it.
like you knew I was going to be talking about it. So yeah,
Yeah.
nice. All right. Um, so over to the engagement letter space now. And one of the things that we've done in this area is around MTD. So MTD for IT specifically. So in the service schedule space, now if you're using Socket Engage, there are MTD templates available for the MTD. Sorry, they're in service schedule templates available for the MTD side of things. So if I go to new from here and then choose Socket Engage, then in our template list now, if I search for MTD, you can see that we've actually got a template for quarterly submissions. You'll get a little overview, so feel free to kind of read through that so you can understand what we're bringing in. And then there is a quarterly submission specifically for landlords. And then lastly, there is one for the covering off the kind of final declarations piece as well. So yeah, that's hopefully available for you now to kind of bring in and adopt and start bringing into your engagement letters, which is pretty cool. The other thing that we've done on the MTD side of things is around pricing. So if you were to come in and check out our new kind of like sample pricing menu. So if I go to services and pricing and go to new and go play with some sample data, then in here down the bottom there is so personal tax returns is there's a non-MTD version of that, and then there's an MTD version. So just here essentially now we've got MTD services for bookkeeping, quarterly review, end of year submission, etc. So these are kind of just sort of indicative or sort of example ways of how you could structure your pricing around MTD for IT. And that's available for you to check out as needed. Okay, so lastly on the proposal space, the other one I wanted to show you, if I just clear my filters out, is around in here. So this proposals list view. I'm not sure whether you've all kind of noticed it or not, but in here, there's actually quite a lot of extra columns that you can bring in. So if I click these kind of three dots here and then go manage columns, under here, a couple of ones that we've had a lot of requests for are client owner and client manager. So those are now in here as well. So you can actually see who's owning what in terms of the proposal space. So yeah, that was just quite a kind of popular one. So I thought I would kind of call that out as well. Okay, so I think that's sort of everything I wanted to cover off in terms of non-TaxScout stuff. I did mention that there's a changelog on our website, so go check that out if you want to check out all the other kind of little bits and pieces and various improvements we've made along the way. But in terms of an introduction to TaxScout, so if I just start my slideshow again, can you see that all right, Simon?
Yeah, that's all good.
Cool. So TaxScout, what is it? So you may have heard about it. I'm pretty sure you've, for those of you that follow my co-founder John on LinkedIn, you definitely would have heard about it. But TaxScout essentially what it's doing is it's a new module for us, and the aim of it is that we actually want to essentially bring all of the data that we can get out of HMRC into one view around different taxes and balances and deadlines, and keep that all in one place so that you don't have to sort of drill into each client via your agent portal to go in and try and figure out who hasn't paid, what things have been missed. So that's what we're trying to do here, and example use cases are around kind of like catching sort of outstanding balances, upcoming deadlines, and a big one that we've had in terms of hearing how people kind of sort of have their workflow around this. Essentially, it's about kind of reaching out to clients and giving them a heads up when payments are due. So TaxScout is available now for UK practices using Socket. And so if you head into Socket, you'll see that absolutely right now. And it's free for the next couple of weeks until the 29th of April. So feel free to jump in and give it a go. And what we're looking to do from a pricing perspective is keep it roughly the same as, or keep it the same as the Pro Features module. So we'll be publishing some proper pricing around that on our website, etc. But essentially, it will be the kind of the same as Pro Features. Basically, that's the aim. And we've got quite an exciting roadmap, I think, around TaxScout as well. So I'll just mention this now. But the aim that we're trying to get to really is allowing you to spot gaps in terms of agent access. So looking across your client portfolio and seeing, which ones you've actually got agent access for and which ones you don't. And we can kind of compare that as well. I think the cool thing with having this inside your proposal system is that we can sort of compare that with the services that are that those clients are signed up for within Socket, and then be able to see that are actually, you're saying that you're doing their kind of year-end accounts for them, but it doesn't look like you've got access to their corporation tax, just as an example. I think a natural follow-on from that really is being able to request to make those kind of 64-8 requests to gain access to those clients in your portal. And then I think the next kind of natural step as well is we've got all the information there, and really how do we kind of help you reduce the admin around reminding clients that they've got deadlines in terms of various payments to make, self-assessment being an obvious example of that. So that's kind of where we're going with it. To kind of give you a little sort of introduction in terms of what that looks like, let me jump across to the app again. And down in here, so just underneath Price Monitor, you should see this new thing called TaxScout. And so if I jump into this one, this, by the way, is just using automatically generated data. So if you see something that looks like a company that you might know, it's not. But basically, it's just using auto-generated data essentially across everything. So VAT numbers and CRNs, etc. But it's in terms of being able to see this, the way that we've kind of broken this out is you've got your different tax types across the top. So VAT, PAYE, corp tax, self-assessment, and then tax balances is a kind of like slightly different view I'll come back to. But the idea is you can see all of your kind of like VAT clients. And so when you first land in the TaxScout area, this will obviously be empty, and you'll be prompted to set up or provide your Government Gateway logins. And the reason for that, so essentially this kind of information you can't get via an HMRC API. So we have to go in through the front door, essentially. And so we spin up a little robot to go and sort of pull all this information. And it's fairly finicky and kind of difficult to sort of maintain. But we're committed to doing so. And so this is the kind of end result. And I think it's pretty cool. So essentially we'll go away and kind of bring all this data back. Once you provided your Government Gateway logins. So in this kind of settings area, you can provide multiple logins. So you might have one for corporation tax, PAYE, self-assessment, for example, and a different one for VAT, just as an example. Or you might have multiple as well for the same kind of tax type. So essentially, for each of these, we will kind of use these to go in and grab the information. And so at the moment, it's a manual sync. So essentially, you click the sync button here, or you choose what kind of tax you want to go and bring in from HMRC. And it takes probably around kind of like 10 to 20 minutes, I would say, on average, depending on the number of clients that you've got, to go in and sort of yeah, bring back all of the data. And then I think where we're heading with this, probably over the next kind of week or two, I think we'll look to do essentially like an automated sync that will go and just refresh that for you overnight. And that's kind of down to HMRC. I think they only really refresh this kind of data in their portal once a day anyway. So we'll look to kind of keep it in sync with that essentially. Um, but yeah, so there'll still be kind of like you can drill into these clients. I'll come into that in a second, but and you can also do individual syncs on a per client basis as well if you do need to. So
Just a couple of bits coming through on that, Rich.
yeah.
James asked about CIS data coming through from HMRC. Is that something that we've got on the roadmap?
It's on the roadmap, yes. Yep. And we're actually looking to on that front, CIS specifically. We're kind of keen to work with people who are kind of keen to work with us and happy to work with us in terms of building that out. And so I think it's just one of those areas where we almost need kind of more people to work with, really. So yeah, CIS definitely. And yeah, if you're keen to see that in here, then give us a shout. We'd love to work with you on that for sure.
And the other, which James asked as well, was HMRC seem to be threatening to add two-factor authentication to gateway logins. Is that going to be something that's going to cause a problem?
It'll definitely cause a challenge for sure. I think it's something that is solvable though. So yeah, we're aware that that's coming, and yeah, we will cross that bridge when we come to it. So yeah, it is another area that's going to add a bit of complication, but we'll kind of work our way through it for sure.
Yeah, cool, cool, cool.
All right. Cool. So just to talk you through a couple of extra bits in these views, if I jump into, I mean, it doesn't really matter which one I view on, but everything you expect here is kind of like sortable. But the other thing that we've got here is columns that we can look to bring in. So there's actually, quite often there's a lot more in here than we've kind of got on the default views. And so this columns button that you'll see on each of these, you can kind of choose to bring in other things as well from here. So, payment balance might be another one on that you're interested in here. So yeah, essentially, or yeah, I'm not sure which one I did, but yeah. So there's various kind of like extra columns you can bring in, or you might be kind of looking to kind of see what the UTR is for these companies as well. So you can kind of play around with these columns, and it will remember those settings that you've applied as well. Um, the last thing I wanted to kind of mention just in terms of that, so tax balances, that's kind of instead of like one row per client, you'll see it's kind of got like sort of lots of different kind of views in here. And you can kind of just kind of see it's kind of an interesting view. I think I'd be interested to get everyone's thoughts on it, but it's kind of like one row per tax balance of various different types. So you've got these different kind of things like outstanding debt, overdue payments, for example, and there's different ways of kind of like slicing and dicing this data as well. Um, and then lastly, from here, this is probably the most flexible part of it. So there's this thing called Report Builder. And, I think at this stage we're kind of keen to hear from people in terms of, the way they'd like to see the data presented. But this is a way that allows you to fully customize that. So under Report Builder, under here, when you come in, it'll be pretty much just have a list of clients. But then from here, you can go into columns, and there's a whole lot of columns that you can add in across literally everything. So if I go start from and then choose like corporation tax, then that's kind of like the corporation tax view as a starting point. you can then add in, say, okay, I also want to say what my PAYE status is, for example. Or do we have, so one might be like, if I choose tax types, UTR, and then I'm kind of interested in who's got a payment plan for PAYE, direct debit, and under VAT, who's got direct debit sort of hooked up as well. And so all of a sudden you've kind of got this kind of view where you can say, okay, well, these are all my clients that have got sort of a direct debit sort of set up as well. And you can kind of spot where the gaps are. Um, I think the other interesting thing around this kind of like tax science view is you can start to sort of see at a glance what data you've got for different clients, and start to spot whether there's any kind of like differences there. Obviously, we've got plans to take that a lot further in terms of highlighting where we think there are kind of access issues or differences between, what's in the proposals in Socket versus what's coming through from HMRC as well. Um, but yeah, so from there, we can kind of click through to one of these kind of clients, and you'll get this detail view, and it'll give you a little bit of an overview on each of these cards in terms of where this client is at. And then you can click on view more or click on one of these cards, and it will take you through to the kind of detail view of that particular tax type for that particular client. So you can kind of drill right down into a fair amount of detail in this kind of space, and you can see, various things like overpayments and when things, whether things have been filed, etc. PAYE is kind of interesting. Like, it sort of goes back. It brings in all that kind of PAYE history as well. So yeah, tons of data in there. I think we'll probably look to refine the way that this kind of looks over the next little while as well. But certainly there's a lot to explore, I think, in here too. Lastly, I guess I mentioned that you can kind of sync individual clients. So this is where you can do that. And you can go down to like, I just want to sync corporation tax just for this particular client at this point. So yeah, there's a little intro to TaxScout. Super keen to, get your feedback, jump in, have a play. And yeah, we're very keen to try and make this as valuable as possible. So yeah, we'd love to hear what you think. And hopefully you can kind of see the value in this quite quickly, and will hopefully sort of save you quite a bit of time and give you more visibility, really. So that's the aim.
Couple of bits come through on TaxScout rather than just the general Q&A that we've got at the end. Is would it be possible to monitor what ID verification dates we have for directors and PSCs at Companies House?
That's a good question. And the answer is I'm not actually sure on that one. So I think things like that, I'd love to. I mean, we will make a note of that, and we'll dig into it for sure. But yeah, I mean, feel free to reach out to us with those kind of questions. I think 'cause we're keen to essentially build this out and collect more information and surface that for you. So
And
yeah,
then the other one was just around the pricing for TaxScout. I know we've got um, a trial period at the moment, and I think you did mention it a bit earlier on, did you, Rich?
yeah. So if I just head across to the pricing page, so we don't have it published just yet, but essentially the pricing for TaxScout is going to match Pro features. So it kind of, if you come onto the pricing page and then you sort of go along to what your plan is. So if you're on the standard plan, and then if you're paying annually, then it will be essentially £15 a month on the annual plan. And then if you're paying monthly, obviously it's, it'll be like £30 a month. So that's the kind of way to work it out. And then the pricing specifically for TaxScale will appear on here over the next couple of weeks. But yeah, that's the plan. And 29th of April is our kind of like target date for that. Um, don't ask me why. It's just a number a date that we plucked out of the year. But yeah, that's the aim. So yeah, keen to hear any feedback on that as well. But I think it's in terms of the kind of like time we're saving across lots of different client portals, then hopefully that's going to be quite obvious on that
Yeah,
one.
some positive comments in the chat there, just saying it looks great so far. So yeah,
Oh, cool. Oh, that's nice. Yeah, nice to hear. All right. So I think that's most or that's kind of the kind of demo side of things done. What I can do now is just click slideshow again. And if we just jump onto the roadmap. So I've mentioned the roadmap of a couple of different things. So obviously, we're going to keep expanding our integrations. We're going to keep working on Price Monitor and TaxScout and building those out further as well. But in addition to those things, what we're also actively working on at the moment is forms. So there was a kind of a question that came in earlier around whether, like, or just saying essentially around like a leads kind of capture form would be really handy. And so that's a natural kind of step for us in the leads module is to actually offer that. And what we've done is actually we've started building a more of a comprehensive kind of forms aspect into Socket. And so essentially we're going to start with a few specific use cases, but the leads capture is going to be one of those. And so what that means is that you can start with some templates that we'll provide, but you can also completely build your own very customizable forms, bring in whatever fields you like, and then choose to bring them up in different places. So leads capture is one where you can make a public form essentially, link to it from your website, and when that kind of information comes in, we'll automatically create a lead for you and drop it into your lead pipeline for use. And essentially, it's a quick start in terms of creating proposals and things too, which is pretty cool. But there's lots of different use cases floating around Socket for this as well. So another obvious one is onboarding. So if a client approves a proposal, being able to direct them directly to a kind of Socket form to capture more information. And we're going to make that smarter and smarter over time. So we'll be able to learn like what services that client has just agreed to take on, and then tailor that kind of onboarding form based on that. So yeah, we've been kind of playing around with that. It's looking pretty exciting. So yeah, hopefully we'll be able to talk more about that pretty soon. Give you a bit of a preview on it. Socket Engaged. So we brought those MTD templates, but we also are going to be launching a kind of a revamp around or sort of another batch of templates that are more compact and also more granular. So at the moment, each kind of like service schedule has been designed to be essentially almost like a standalone agreement. And we're now going to look to offer you the ability to bring in more kind of granular service schedules that are possibly more, you can tie them more to how you do your pricing. So instead of necessarily, you might not have a bookkeeping service on your proposal, you might have sort of like bank rec and doing your kind of sales invoices or various things like that, and so you can kind of split it out. And then lastly, I think we're always keen to figure out what everyone is looking for in terms of reporting around this. There's some natural kind of things that we have the data for around proposals issued and how long it takes to kind of convert clients and who's due for renewal, all those kind of things. So I think we're really keen to work with you on what you'd love to see there. And yeah, we've got lots of plans around surfacing some more metrics around that. Okay, so I think yeah, well, let's move on to the Q&A
Yeah.
side of things. And
So
have you
if we
got
go back to what was the first thing we covered? Price
price?
monitoring.
Yeah.
Yeah, price monitoring. So
Yeah.
talking about the Dext integration that's coming with that, will it just bring in the bills and bank transaction from Precision, or will it give us the total of extractions in from Christie, even?
Total of extraction. So it brings in, there's probably around 12 different metrics I think it brings in. And so yeah, there's quite a few. Basically, Christy, if you remember like the client facts area within the kind of like pricing configuration, if you go into like services and pricing and go to link a service up to like a client fact, everything you can see in there is basically something that we can pull from Precision. apart from uh, employee numbers. That's one that we couldn't get. Yeah, so that's that one. But yeah, I think there's quite a few metrics that we're going to be bringing in into Price Monitor.
Yeah. On leads, is it possible that we can receive an email when an activity is being assigned to you? I think that's something we've had through on support before.
Yeah, so I guess I didn't call it out specifically, but we will keep investing in the leads area. And I think notifications in general around leads is something that is on our radar. So yes, I don't have a specific time frame around that, but yeah, I would sort of say within the next couple of months we should have something like that in place for sure.
Yeah. Christy, again, is there a way to make filters stay in place when you log out and back in on the proposals page?
Sorry, say that again, Simon?
Having that, I suppose, sticky filters. So if you apply a filter and then you log
Yes.
out and log back in, she wants it to still be on said same filter when she logs back in.
Okay. I think that it should remember your filters. Now it didn't, so I think maybe a few months ago it didn't, but it should now. So if that's not working somewhere, then yeah, let us know because I'm keen to fix that for sure.
Yeah. And then the last one, let me read this out. Is there a way to export data based on drivers from socket? So in terms of our zero recharge, there's a driver which, whatever zero subscription they're on, could I export a client list displaying the subscription from socket? I suppose that's just going to be through socket insights reporting, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I think Socket Insights is probably where I would start with that. And if it's not providing the kind of information you need, I think that's another area that we're happy to keep adding
I,
more
I
information in.
think if you do the client drivers report, it should bring through every proposal with every service and driver. Then you can just use your filters in Google Sheets and Excel to filter out and say, I only want to see zero and the package they're on. It should give you that data.
Yeah, good shout.
Yeah, and that's everything on the Q&A. It's actually been a busy one for the questions this morning, I think, Rich. Lots of people
Yeah.
getting involved and even more positive comments about TaxScout. It looks even better than they expected.
Oh wow. Okay. Well, that's really cool. And yeah, glad you like it. And I think what we're excited about is, I guess, is building it out together with you all. So if there are things in there that you'd love to see, or even it just presented in a different way, then as I said, just let us know. But yeah, hopefully we've addressed. I think it feels like this quarter we've addressed a lot of things that have been quite popular in terms of requests coming in. So hopefully, people are feeling good about that. I think it's always a tricky balance for, companies like ours in terms of like we've got these kind of behind the scenes kind of like big projects that we're working on, and but we also need to make sure that we kind of address the kind of like top voted questions along the way. So I think it's just getting a balance of both, and hopefully we're getting the balance right. So yeah. Um, oh, lastly, for anyone who is kind of keen to learn how to like supercharge their proposal building side of things, Simon Williams is running a webinar next week. That is going to be pretty cool because essentially it brings together a lot of the different kind of template concepts that we've been building out in Socket. Um, for quite a long time. And I think it's just starting to come into its own in terms of being a really kind of super efficient and super powerful machine for kind of building out proposals that are actually really nice looking and convert well. So yeah, Simon's focus is going to be around sort of bringing all of that stuff together from a powerful perspective to get the kind of best looking proposals you can. So yeah, if you're keen to sort of hone that game, then jump on to our website. And there's a link to go and register for that one as well. Um,
Amy's just popped it in the chat as well, so they should be able to just open that straight from our webinar chat today.
awesome, fantastic. Well, thanks, Amy, and yeah, thanks everyone for listening, and thanks for your help, Si, and we'll catch you all next time.
Catch you later, everyone.